often do you do the dishes? How often do you change your bed sheets? How often do you clean your windows? To answer these questions, you need to use something called an adverb of frequency. Don't know what these are? Don't worry. Welcome back to Lingoni English. My name is Emily, and in this video, I'm going to teach you all about adverbs of frequency. They're easier than you might think. So, let's get started. So, let's use percentages to talk about when to use each adverb. This is a percentage. It is a part of a whole. So I could say, we are 10% through this lesson right now. 10% of the whole lesson. So let's use these percentages to go through adverbs of frequency. Always means 100% of the time. 100% always. I always say thank you when someone gives me a gift. She always goes out on the weekends. Every weekend she goes out. Usually, about 85% of the time. I usually work out at the gym, but sometimes I work out at home. So maybe one time every week I work out at home, but all the other days I go to the gym. Larry usually arrives late to work. He is late 4 days of the 5-day work week. Usually can also go at the beginning of the sentence. So you can say, usually Larry is late, or Larry is usually late. Often. Often is about 70% of the time. We often meet at that coffee shop up the street. Sometimes we go somewhere else, but often we meet there. The teacher quite often assigns homework. We have homework quite often. Sometimes is about 50%, so half of the time. I sometimes walk to work, and I sometimes drive my car. About half the time I walk, and half the time I drive. Sometimes my husband washes the car, and sometimes I wash the car. Half of the time, or sometimes, he does it, and sometimes I do it. We share this chore equally. Rarely. Rarely. It's hard to say. Rarely. Rarely. So rarely means about 25% of the time. I rarely ride my bike when it's raining. I only do it when there's an emergency or I must do it. I rarely ride my bike when it's raining. Peter rarely sleeps less than 7 hours a night. Peter cares a lot about his sleep. Peter rarely sleeps less than 7 hours a night. And the last one is never. Never is 0%. Never. I never ride the bus. I walk, or I ride my bike, or I drive my car, but I never ever ride the bus. I don't even have a bus ticket. Hank never drinks milk or eats cheese because he's vegan. He never drinks milk or eats cheese. Okay, so here are some more rules about these words. Sometimes you can use don't plus an adverb of frequency. Only for two. The first one is don't often. I don't often go out to eat at restaurants. I usually cook at home, so I don't often eat at restaurants. Don't often means rarely. I don't usually eat meat. I don't usually eat meat, but today I had a cheeseburger. This also means rarely. So don't often or don't usually means rarely. You can also use almost with an adverb of frequency. You can say almost always and almost never. I almost never go to that restaurant. This means I rarely go to that restaurant. She almost always finishes her work early. This means she usually finishes her work early. She almost always finishes her work early. So you can say almost always or almost never. Okay, so those are the rules and the meanings of those words. What is the sentence structure? You use the subject plus the adverb of frequency plus the conjugated verb. Walk, go, meet, etc. I always meet her. She never eats that. I don't often call my grandmother. He sometimes washes the car. So, to form the question, you could ask, how often do you eat meat? How often does he wash the car? How often do they? Remember to use the bare infinitive here. How often do they ride? Does he wash? Etc. You could also say, do you ever eat meat? Does she ever swim at the swimming pool? Does it ever rain here? So again, do, subject, ever, and then bare infinitive. Those are the two most common or popular ways to ask how often something happens. Okay, so now let's practice. I will ask you some questions and you write them in your notebook or write them in the comments and I'll check them. Are you ready for number 1? How often do you walk to work? Do you ever go out on the weekends? How often do you eat at a restaurant? Do you ever watch TV or movies in English? Okay, I can't wait to see your answers. That's it for this video on adverbs of frequency. Thanks so much for watching Lingoni English. Don't forget that if you need more practice, you can go to lingoni.com and use our worksheets as well as our interactive exercises to help you with this topic and all the topics from A1 to B2 English. We also offer listening practice and vocab training to make your English sound like a native speaker. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye.